So I have a story called Once There Were Giants, and our author is Martin Waddell. He wrote our story, and the illustrator is Penny Dale. She's our illustrator. She drew the pictures. But what do you think this story is about? Once There Were Giants. Let's think. Let's look at the picture on the front and see if we can figure out what this book may be about. So I see a baby and I see two grown adults, two grown-ups. And I see the baby hugging the leg of one of the grown-ups. And again, the title is Once There Were Giants. Now, to a little baby that small, the adults may look like giants, right? Big people, because they're much bigger than the baby. So maybe the baby thinks that his mommy or her mommy and daddy are giants. That could be. Or maybe they're protecting her from giants. That could be too. I like to try to figure out what a book is about by looking at the cover before I even open it, because that helps me decide whether I even want to read the book or not, if it's something that's going to interest me. And this interests me. I want to find out why the name of the story is Once There Were Giants and what the baby is thinking. So let's open up our story and see what it's about. Once there were giants. Once there were giants in our house. There were Mom and Dad and Jill and John and Uncle Tom. The small one on the rug is me. When I could sit up, Mom brought me a high chair. I sat at the table way up in the sky with Mom and Dad and Jill and John and Uncle Tom. The one throwing oatmeal is me. When I could crawl, I crawled around on the floor. Dad was a dragon, and he gave a roar that scared Jill and John and Uncle Tom. The one who was crying is me. When I could walk, I walked to the park with Jill and John and Uncle Tom. We fed the ducks, and Jill stood on her head. The one in the duck pond is me. When I could talk, I talked and talked. I annoyed Uncle Tom and was sat on by Jill and by John. That's John on my head and Jill on my knee. The one on the bottom is me. When I could run, I ran and ran, chased by Mom and Dad and Uncle Tom and Jill on her bike and my brother John. The one out of breath is me. When I went to playgroup, I wouldn't play games, and I called people names and spilled the water on Millie McGee. She's the one with the towel. The one being lectured is me. When I went to school, I'd gotten bigger by then. Mom had to leave at 9:45, and she didn't come back for a long, long time. I didn't shout, and I didn't scream. She came for me at 2:45. The one on Mom's knee is me. When I went to grade school, I had loads of fun. I got big and strong and punched my brother John. He's the one with the sore nose. The one with the black eye is me. When I went to high school, I was taller than Mom and almost as tall as my Uncle Tom. But I never caught up with my brother John. I ran and I jumped, and they all came to see. There they are cheering. The one who's winning is me. When I went to work, I lived all by myself. Then I met Don and we got married. There's Jill and John and Uncle Tom, and Mom's the one crying, and Dad is the one with the beer on his head. The bride looking happy is me. Then we had a baby girl, and things changed. There are giants in our house again. There is my husband Don, and Jill and John, my mom and dad, and Uncle Tom, and one of the giants is me. Wow, so the name of the story, Once There Were Giants. So who were the giants in the story? That's right, the giants were the grown-ups. And I loved how she grew and grew, and her family grew. But as her family grew, her family also stayed a lot the same, right? We always had mom and dad, Jill and John and Uncle Tom. And as she grew and got older, they grew and got older and were able to do more things and different things together until finally she had a little one of her own. And she was the giant in the house now, along with her husband Don, Jill and John, mom and dad, and Uncle Tom.